So I'm going to walk you through the process of completing Lab 2. And Lab 2 asks you to come up with your own calculator program that automates some calculation that's meaningful for you. And the only requirements are that it has to take at least one input. It can take more if it wants. It has to do some sort of calculation that's meaningful. And it has to output the results to the user. Now, within those fairly limited set of constraints, you can pretty much come up with anything that you want that makes sense. And one thing that I do a fair amount is I buy stuff online, and I get email advertisements, coupon codes, and things like that. So I'm always getting these from Newegg and from various places. And this is on my mind now because it's middle of January when I'm making this video, and so we just went past the Black Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Christmas, and got a lot of coupon codes. So you'll get a coupon code that says something like 15% off, and you've had your eye on something that costs, say, $70. So how much are you actually saving by applying a 15% coupon to something that costs $75? And then what's the final cost when you include shipping? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a simple calculator where the user enters the cost of the item and the amount of the discount, a discount percentage, and the shipping cost. And then the calculator will tell you what the final price is going to be. So I'm going to start by opening PyCharm, which is under JetBrains PyCharm. And I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to call it Lab 2, and it's going under my Python projects, which I created last time. And let's hit the create button. Tip of the day. So I'm going to create a new file, right click on Lab 2, say new Python file, and I'll call that lab2.py. Let me close that. So I'm going to start by creating some comments, and the comments I'm going to create are going to include pseudocode for the program using the same pseudocode notation that's in the Gaddis textbook. And I'm going to include an input list and an output list. So let's start with the pseudocode. So a comment starts with a number sign or a hash sign in Python. And to start my pseudocode, what's the first thing that my program wants to do? So the first thing that I want to do in my program is display some sort of welcome message to the user, which explains the purpose of the program. And I'm going to use the display command in pseudocode to do that. And instead of actually putting the text here, which is going to be really detail specific, program specific, and I don't want to get into that level of detail right now, I'm just going to say display welcome message. Now that would actually be a real piece of text in my program, but for here I'm just going to put the English. So then the next thing I'm going to want to do is ask the user how much the item costs. And so I have to do that in two steps in my pseudocode. First, I have to prompt the user to type in the price, and then I have to actually input the price from the user. So let's display so what is the price of the item? And then I'm going to input. And now I sort of need a variable here. So I need to come up with a variable name that says what the price of the item is. So I'm just going to call it item price. And I'd like you to write your variable names the same way, all lowercase with underscores between each word. And then the next thing I want to do is ask the user to enter the discount percentage. And I don't actually really need to put a space here. I will in my Python code, but so I'm going to leave it in here. You'll see what I mean when I get to the code. So display, what is the discount percentage, and then input discount percent. And then I'm going to ask them to enter the shipping cost. And I'm going to input shipping cost. So now I have all the input from the user that I need to do my calculations. So I'm going to put a blank line here and have my calculations separate from here just so that it's a little easier to read. And there are a couple of ways I can do this calculation, but I'm going to break it down a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the total amount of the discount. So for example, an item that costs $100 that has a 15% discount, the total amount of the discount is going to be $15, which is 100 times 0.15. So I'm going to set discount amount equal to item price times discount percent. And then I need to calculate the cost of the item after the discount. So that's going to be the item price 100 minus the discount amount 15, which is $85. So set and then finally I want to figure out the final price, which is going to be the amount after discount plus the shipping cost. Okay, so that looks like all the values I wanted to calculate. Now I have to tell the user what the results were. So I'm going to display. Now it's a good idea to repeat back what the user entered, so I'm going to start by displaying the stuff that the user entered. And now I'm going to start telling them the results. Made a little mistake here, so let me fix that. So this is the discount amount, and this is the amount after discount, and then finally the final price. And that's going to be it. So I've completed most of the pseudocode. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and add declare statements for all the variables I used in the program. So let me go ahead and add some declare statements. So declare, and then these are all the things that the user is inputting, and all of the things I'm calculating are going to be decimal numbers, which are called reals in the pseudocode. So real item price, discount percent, shipping cost, discount amount, amount after discount, and final price. So I was just scanning through the code one line at a time, looking for all the variables. And I think that's pretty much it. So there's my pseudocode. Now let's go ahead and write the program. So the first thing I do is declare these variables. And you don't need to declare variables in Python. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to set initial values for all of them. So I'm going to have item price equal 0.0 and discount percent equals 0.0 and so on. You probably won't have as many variables in your program, but that's okay. Next, I'm going to display a welcome message, and to display something in Python, we're going to use the print command. So I'm going to say print that's enough for one line. That's enough for a second line. All right, and let's just put one more print in there so there's a blank line. So I have enough to test. I expect it will work, but it's always good to check. So I'm going to run my Lab2, and it's printing my welcome message, and everything looks good here. So I'm going to go on to the next part, which is asking for the inputs. And I'm going to use this thing here to minimize that so that I can see my pseudocode on the same screen. So first, I'm going to prompt the user with what is the price of the item, and then input item price. So this is going to be item price equal input, what is the price of the item, question mark, and I'm going to put that space there so there's a little space between the prompt and where the user actually types in the value. And then I'm going to input discount percent. There we go. Okay. And finally, I'm going to do the shipping cost. Okay, so that's my input. So once again, I'm going to test it and make sure I've gotten everything right so far. So what is the price of the item? 100. What is the discount percentage? 0.15. What is the shipping cost? 20. And it worked. Okay, so I'm in good shape. Let's do the next block. So here's my calculations. Discount amount is equal to item price times discount, percent. So I'm taking advantage of command completion. Since I've declared these variables already, anytime I start typing them, I'm going to get suggestions by PyCharm, and I can just hit the tab key to complete the variable name. And that saves me a lot of time. So there's the discount amount. Amount after discount is equal to item price minus discount amount. You can use the arrow keys there to move up and down. And then final price is equal to amount after discount plus shipping cost. And now let's do the last block. Price and discount percent, comma, discount. And actually, I do not want spaces here because by default, Python's going to put a space in here. I'm going to get rid of this and take the default space here. And let's run it just to make sure that I'm on the right track. So run. Price of the item is 100. Discount percent 0.15. Shipping cost 20. Okay, so I have a problem. Can't multiply sequence by non-int of type string. So I showed this in class, but the problem is basically when I typed 100, that was a piece of text. And when I type this, that's a piece of text as well. So I need to convert these things to decimal numbers. And the way I'm going to do that is by wrapping these input statements in float, like so. And since these are all numbers, I'm going to set all of them to floats. Okay, and now I'm going to try running my program again. Okay, so this worked. I got a price of 100 and a discount of 0.15. So let's continue because the spaces look fine. So I'm going to print shipping costs, shipping cost, and total amount of the discount was discount amount, and price after discount was amount after discount, and the final price is final price. Okay, so that should be everything for the program. Let's test it, see if it works. Price of the item is 100, discount percent 0.15, shipping cost 20. So item cost 100, 15% discount, shipping cost 20. Total amount of the discount was 15, which is correct. $15 is 15% of 100. Price after discount is 85. Final price is 105, which is 85 plus 20. So my code seems to be working. The only other thing I want to do is at the top here, I want to include my input list and output list. So the input list is going to be the list of the variables that I asked the user to enter. So that's going to be the item price, the discount percent, and the shipping cost. And then the output list is going to be all the variables that I output to the user. So here's the input list, this guy, and this guy. And then the output list is basically going to be item price, discount price, shipping cost, discount amount, amount after discount, final price. So almost everything. Yeah, I think pretty much everything. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 variables. So yeah, I'm outputting everything at this point. So let me copy that and add discount amount after discount. And this is getting too long, so I'm going to break this line here and tab and final price. Okay, put another line break here. So now I have the input list, I have the output list, I have the pseudocode, and I have the Python program. I've run it and it works. And so what I'm going to do, I'll just go ahead and save this. Save all. And then this lab2.py, that's what I'm going to upload to the lab2 Dropbox.